It's your boy, Slim the Fox, with a review of the movie Emancipation. Emancipation is a movie that stars Will Smith as a slave called Peter. The movie starts with Peter watching his wife feed in a little hut when some white men, the owner and a couple of overseers, come in and take Peter to a wagon. Peter is basically like, yo, I'm a grown man, I can walk out myself. But you know, the slavery days, so they snatch him up, rough him up, beat him, put a gun to his wife's head, basically threaten to shoot her if he don't get in the wagon. So he gets in the wagon. Basically, they pull him in the wagon. He don't get in the nothing. They put him in the wagon aggressively, and the wagon takes him away from his family unwillingly and takes him to this like brutal slave work camp. I mean, they treating slaves brutal up in there. But before the wagon even make it to the camp, they got slave heads on stakes and they killing slaves, shooting slaves for the slightest infraction in the camp and whooping slaves for the slightest infraction, putting them at the end of horses and dragging them. One slave, he escapes and they catch him and they pull him back in the camp at the end of a horse, drag him into the camp and basically brand him in front of all the other slaves. The same slave and Peter have I wouldn't say an argument, but a discussion about God. The slave tail was pretty much branded and dragged back in the camp. It's like, yo, if God was real, he wouldn't put us through this and ain't no God. And Peter, like, it's got to be a God. And it's kind of funny how even today that discussion still goes on amongst some black folks and pretty much other entities that have been through a lot. But anyway, later, Peter overhears about Lincoln freeing the slaves, and if you can make it to Baton Rouge where the Union soldiers are, you can be free as well. So Peter grabs a shovel and put that work in and starts beating down some of the overseers, and him and a few other slaves break free and run off into the woods, into the swamp. The overseers and the trackers, led by one named Jim, they catch a few of them, pretty much most of them. One of the dogs, the dog snatch up one, and Jim shoots him and kill him. Try to play like he's gonna let him go free and end up killing him. That movie, it shows pretty much Peter's resiliency as he basically fights off white folks trying to snitch on him to the trackers. He fights off bees, snake, which I can, I'm cool with snakes. I can deal with a snake. I can get a snake up out of here. The animal kind, I don't care nothing about no human snakes. I can't stand no human snakes. I don't deal with them. Alligator, he fights off an alligator and kills the alligator, which, my freedom would have ended right there. I can't deal with no alligator. Alligator would have killed me. My freedom would have been over. I would have been dead. And it just shows his resiliency of getting away from the trackers and trying to gain his freedom. Shout out to John, one of the guys the slaves who ran off with Peter, the one that was branded. They had him, but Jim had a pistol to him, basically was about to kill him, had already shot him. He was pretty much almost dead, but he was near Peter. He could have gave Peter up and had him killed too, but he didn't do it. So shout out to him for, not giving in, and they end up killing him. And shout out to Knowles, who basically helped the trackers kill his own kind. It's always one of them in the mix of us. I swear, it's always one of them in the crew. A couple of them who sell out their own, no matter the ethnicities. I swear, shaking my head at that. Peter's wife, she goes through it too. She basically has her daughter mash her hand in a cotton machine, so she can stay with them because the slave owner basically was trying to get rid of her to another slave owner because he had his eyes on pretty much raping the daughter, which, craziness, but it's slavery times. Overall, the movie is about the atrocities of slavery and what one went through to gain their freedom. And the movie gets that across very, very well. I'm going to give Emancipation 3.6 Black Union soldiers out of 5. If you got Apple TV Check it out. And this is your boy, Slim the Fox, signing out. Peace.